Don't listen to men's rights activists if you want to know what they have to say.
Don't listen to men's rights activists if you want to know what they have to say. Don't listen to men's rights activists if you want to know what they have to say.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Breaking Badger News. My name is Brian. I'm here with Lindsay, and we're talking about a couple of really crazy stories this week. So let's first talk about what happened with the quartering.
Another lifetime ban for a lifetime geek. In a move that could only be counted as victim blaming, Jeremy Hambley, or the quartering, has been banned from attending GenCon after he was assaulted. On the first day of the con, someone sought him out to attack him. The man was later identified as Matt Lauder, or Matt Fantastic.
Matt Fantastic, or Matt Lauder. He was like a game designer or something.
Jeremy had called the CEO of GenCon to tell them that he had been attacked, and even after hearing the account of a separate witness to the attack, the GenCon higher-ups did not remove or ban Matt Fantastic. So he did share the email he received from GenCon on his channel. The reason he's being suspended is a violation of terms of service, ethics, conduct, and no harassment policy. So the email reads, after further review, GenCon has determined that the two principal account holders involved in an off-site incident will be suspended from attendance at future conventions for an indefinite length of time. This account holder has violated the convention's ethics, conduct, and no harassment policy for targeted online bullying of attendees and will be suspended until further notice. GenCon is committed to a safe, harassment-free environment. Additional terms of service violations may result in more severe actions, including a permanent ban from GenCon and any affiliated events. For more information, see gencon.com. Blah, blah, blah.
Slash blah, 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 the website. So, Jeremy has been indefinitely banned for defending himself off of GenCon's grounds at a bar from a random dude that ran up behind him and started attacking him and threatening to kill him.
Yeah, so it sounds like the Matt Fantastic was also banned because it says determined that the two principal account holders involved in an off-site incident. So is that both of them?
Yeah, that's both of them, sure. But I mean, obviously, Matt Fantastic should suffer some kind of consequences. I mean, legal would have been just fine, you know, by Jeremy's standard, most likely. But the fact that they decided to ban both of them is just a way of GenCon. It seems to me, I don't know if you already, you know, considered this, but it seems to me it's just a way for GenCon to kind of meet in the middle and say, okay, maybe the best course of action, because we do know that the quartering is a shitlord, but he was assaulted, so we can't just ban him. Maybe the best course of action is to ban them both, because we certainly don't want to condone his existence on GenCon grounds, right? Because, I mean, otherwise it doesn't make any sense. Could you imagine if a woman, or anybody, but we'll just say a woman, just to like make it more interesting, okay, is sitting she attends GenCon, she has a 4-year pass, right? She's sitting at a restaurant or a bar outside of the convention. Somebody runs up and attacks her, threatens to kill her, and then when she gets the police involved and files a report and everything, and then the convention decides to ban both of them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, in the email, there's like no evidence that they give Jeremy of the offense against the policy, right? Like, they say you've broken the rules, but they don't say like specifically how. Anyway, Jeremy is litigating against Matthew Fantastic. And last year at GenCon, Jeremy lost his press pass after people were calling in saying that he was carrying prohibited items into the con. And as many of you probably already know, he was already banned from the Magic the Gathering community.
What was, so they took away his press pass last year because people called in claiming he was carrying prohibited items. Was he carrying prohibited items, or is it just...
No.
But they did that to him anyways.
Yeah, he brought it up in his own video about it because I guess like some higher ups still got him into the con, even though all these people were calling and saying like, you know, like he has these things that are against policy or whatever, but he still was able to go, just not with his press pass.
GenCon is completely cucked then. Like, it's ridiculous. I'm sorry, this is ridiculous. Okay, banned from the Magic the Gathering community. That's Wizards of the Coast. That's a whole other conversation. But GenCon they have officially cucked the fuck out to all of this SJW shit, because this is the same year that they brought Anita Sarkeesian in as a guest of honor.
Respect women. That cat needs those pills. And so does women need
respect.
And because the quartering just happens to have criticisms of the way that the politics of the games industry, as well as other spaces, in geek culture, are being sort of shifted way into the unreasonable, they think that the solution seems to be remove him. And then they're just looking for reasons to do it. It's like Matt Fantastic is probably willing to take a bullet to make sure that Jeremy can never go to GenCon anymore. It's retarded that they would even rule on that. It's absolutely retarded. I would like to say that he should pursue some kind of legal recourse against the convention, but after what happened with us in our convention escapades, I don't think it'll pan out. It might just be really depressing to learn that the rabbit hole runs deeper than just GenCon. But GenCon that breaks my heart. That was my place to go. Fuck those guys, really. I'm never going there again.
They ask you how you are, and you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
Sad. All right.
So we have another story.
So remember this smarmymike.com guy?
Probably heard of the so-called alt-right. It's an umbrella term used to describe a lot of different groups, anything from legit neo-Nazis to internet trolls that revel in torturing liberals online. But what you might not have heard is that on August 12th, they're going to be holding a major event for what you might call a new debut. Americans are used to a very particular picture of what a racist looks like. Shaved head, swastikas, white robes, you know the drill. And these racists have totally ruined their fair share of fashion. Hitler ruined an entire mustache style for generations. A shaved head on a white man is enough to provoke a little bit of side-eye, and even the swastika spent millennia as a symbol of luck and peace before it was co-opted. And now there's this polo, made by preppy British fashion label Fred Perry. This is how Henry Ford saw the model American city, a gleaming rural utopia for white people, because Henry Ford was an avowed racist and anti-Semite. And he had a very specific plan, a powerful weapon in a war against what he saw as a Jewish jazz dance conspiracy. Square dancing. But here's the thing. Chinese food syndrome is fake. We've actually known for decades that MSG doesn't cause the negative health effects that so many people are scared of. So why did we all start believing that MSG was so dangerous? Mainly because white people were afraid of Chinese people. Are the SATs racist? Not only are the SATs a pretty bad predictor of academic success, they do something else entirely. Sort people by race. This is the far-right's new philosopher superstar, and when he thinks of the plight of men in America, it brings him to tears.
Every time the topic comes up, it breaks me up because it's so damn sad.
He says that white privilege doesn't exist.
I think the idea of white privilege is absolutely reprehensible.
That women and gender studies courses should be defunded.
Why the hell are we subsidizing revolution?
Well, he's been fired after some disturbing allegations laid out in a Jezebel article.
They eat their own.
Although it's becoming harder to instantaneously believe all the #MeToo stories that are coming out, and even harder to take Jezebel seriously, let's take a look at this article. It's called "The Next Step for #MeToo is into the gray areas."
Really?
Let's go.
So Jezebel is totally fine with taking the definition of rape, sexual assault, sexual misconduct, men taking an interest in women, men being heterosexual, and basically taking that to the next level, like calling it rape. That's why they want to go into the gray areas, right?
Yeah, well, they talk about conflation, like, and kind of... Well, they talk about it later, so we can talk about it then.
Okay, well, they're nuts, but go ahead.
So I just picked some pieces of the article that I wanted to go over.
Okay, so I will read from the Jezebel article some selections that Lindsay plucked out. The institutional and political disbelief of and disdain for women by the administration, a continuation of the pussy-grabbing tape of 2016, somehow not having disqualified candidate Trump for the presidency. Oh, wait, hold on.
Catharsis.
So they think that the pussy-grabbing tape of 2016 should have just disqualified Trump for presidency. The tape of a guy talking shit should just kick you out. Could you imagine?
Well, then nobody could be a politician if that was the case.
Yeah, like basically the cost of having sex with women that want to have sex with you because you're rich.
You have to be a monk and never talk about pussy at all.
Oh my God. Or just be a feminist that only talks about pussy.
Yeah, that might work too.
Yeah. Is powerful and seemingly insurmountable. For all the generalized sense of relief and catharsis that #MeToo has produced, and for all the public good it's done, its achievements are hard-won and fragile. For some, #MeToo's nascent gains are already too much, and it is time to begin redeeming the men who have been accused, whether or not they have ventured to make amends or demonstrably learn from the moment. In the last month alone, debates have ignited about whether Louis C.K. should be allowed to make a comeback, or if Matt Lauer should be reinstated on television, or whether Gian Ghomeshi or John Hockenberry, as both wrote in personal essays, were #MeToo's real victims. The public sympathy for these men and eagerness for their redemption is a depressing, yet familiar iteration of what we've always known. That alleged abusers are, in all contexts, held by default to be innocent until proven guilty, and so, logically, all victims are liars until proven otherwise. And that the experiences accusers know they've had rarely matter, and in most cases, may as well have never happened.
I picked this part out particularly because of the innocent until proven guilty, and so logically all victims are liars until proven otherwise part. Like, that is just so no. Victims are also innocent until proven liars. It's just a suspension of judgment of wrongdoing until all the evidence has come in.
Yeah, I mean, this is insane. Like, they literally don't think men should ever be forgiven for the things they do. And they're acting like Gian Ghomeshi was a guy who got away with it. They're acting like Louis C.K. got away with it. They're acting like John Hockenberry got away with it. Some of these guys did not commit anything that serious. Louis C.K., he tugged it in front of some women that did not tell him that he shouldn't do it. They actually said go for it. And Gian Ghomeshi was messing around with women that wanted it and texted him afterwards. They're either not guilty or they've already paid their penalty. So what exactly does Jezebel want? Well, I think it's what most feminists want. They want you to never, ever, ever be redeemed. They have no redemption arc. How do we talk about behavior that is harmful and inequitable but isn't illegal? How do we talk about the women affected by it? And what happens when accusations of such behavior are made against someone who is supposed to be an ally? These gray areas are embodied in a story Jezebel has been reporting since June, an example of the ways in which the messy contours of alleged coercion and manipulation are far more nuanced and more difficult to trace than behaviors that violate the law. Jack Smith IV, that's the guy who worked for Mike.com, has made a name for himself over the last year and a half as a senior writer and correspondent covering the extremist right for Mike, a website known for its progressive takes on social justice. His 2017 arrest while covering the Standing Rock protests was a key moment that raised his profile, and he was capitalized on it, writing about incels, MRAs, and neo-Nazis, none of whom, by the way, have been accused of sexual misconduct, but that's aside from the point. Helming videos about racism and xenophobia, tweeting to his nearly 45,000 followers about the next white supremacist rally in Charlottesville and Milo Yiannopoulos, and publicly speaking about and positioning himself as an authority on issues of misogyny. Multiple women, though, say that Smith's public persona doesn't square with his behavior towards them. In a series of individual conversations with Jezebel, they have painted a picture of someone whose behavior is in sharp contrast to what would be expected of a fierce public advocate for progressive politics.
Well, imagine my shock. Well, imagine my shock. Imagine my shock. Imagine my shock. Well, imagine my shock. Well, imagine my shock. Well, imagine my shock. Imagine my shock. Imagine my shock. Well, imagine my shock.
So, Jezebel spoke with 5 women on the record, and their stories are recounted here. All of these women accuse Smith of behavior that they voraciously describe as emotional abuse, manipulation, and gaslighting.
One of the first women that the article talks about is Nina. And so this is this specific part I picked out about Nina. So, when they returned to her empty apartment, Nina says, Smith began an hours-long bout of verbal abuse, standing over her as she curled up on the couch, pointing his finger and accusing her of lying to him about everything from her dating history to her age. I'm skipping a large part. I'm just picking the parts that bring context, and also I wanted to show that this is kind of silly.
But we'll include the link to the whole thing so you guys don't think that we're, cherry-picking Jezebel to make them look bad.
So this is a cherry pick, I'll be honest, because this is kind of well, you'll see. Nina was still upset, she says, and didn't want to have sex, but didn't say no because she felt she had something to make up for. She panicked, she says, and told him to get a condom from a drawer. She said she froze up and was so disgusted I just wanted to rip my skin off, but told him to be rougher because I just wanted to build distance from myself during it. She now describes what happened as coercive sex.
What? She asked for rough sex but didn't really want sex? And then she turns around and calls it what they're making it look like rape and abuse? Fucking hell.
Well, see, they purposely didn't use the word rape, and they go into conflation later.
Okay, all right. Well, Jezebel, continue.
Smith sent her text messages the next day, June 7th, which began, "Hey, last night was fun, considering." She said, "I feel like a horrible person and want to die." Smith responded, "Haha, do you? I thought it was pretty constructive, no? Night certainly ended well. Was I too unkind?" She responded, "I don't know if you were too unkind or if I'm just a baby, but it's probs the latter," she wrote. Smith responded, "All right, well, hopefully you still think I'm all right now that it's the next day and light out and everything," he wrote. HMU? Well, I don't know what that stands for.
I have no idea.
"Soon, and let me know where things stand once you know how you're feeling."
Respect women. Respecting women. One punch at a time. Respect women. Respect women. Respect women. Fist. Stay awesome. Women.
Go on. Is it another story?
So this is another woman, Jenny. Jenny first met Smith in 2014 when he was hired as a tech reporter.
Here, I'll go ahead and do it. In 2016, though, she had broken up with a boyfriend of 3 years and unrelatedly began seeing Smith more often on a friendly basis. She tells Jezebel that one night in September of 2016, they got extremely stoned and Smith began talking about, quote, other women reporters he slept with, end quote. While high, she says, they eventually ended up sitting on his bed, but she was not interested in having sex with him. Quote, I could tell he was trying to make it happen, so I physically turned around and faced the wall. He started leaning over me and being like, quote, you know you want to, and stuff like that. She says she told Smith she wanted to leave and turn around, after which he started kissing her, stuck his hand down her pants, and said, according to a text Jenny sent the other day, do you still want to leave? Jenny says that she then just let it happen because, still stoned, she, quote, wasn't really in a frame of mind to make a thing out of this. Smith then pressured her into sex in a way that made her uncomfortable, she says, and penetrated her without a condom or asking if it was okay. They had...
Hold on. I just wanted to point out that, like, either it's a big deal or it's not. If it's a big deal, then why are you just letting it happen? Like, if it's a big deal that, like, coercive sex happens, then stand up for yourself. This doesn't make sense to me.
No, this is the kind of thing that like creates those statistics on the Mary Koss studies, is when women probably were okay with it at the time, and then they're like sort of talked into seeing it as much worse later.
Yeah. Well, I can only make it as big of a deal as you do, lady. Like, if you don't think it's a big deal and you just let it happen, then how am I supposed to be outraged?
Yeah, well, this is I know we're going to get to this later, but this is the reason why men should not fuck around with feminist women. Because this is what, look, I have no love for John Smith IV, or whatever the fuck his name is. He's a male feminist. He's a scumbag. He's a liar. He's a piece of shit, honestly. And he doesn't have to be a rapist to be those things. He's a piece of shit anyway. And maybe what he did here was, maybe he did some wrongdoing, but I think that this is, what this sounds to me like, is that the one thing that he did wrong is essentially try to date feminist women that were gonna like turn on him on a dime because he's still the enemy despite being an ally. That's so, just reset the clock. Here we go again.
Another one. Another one. Another one. Another one. Another one. And another one.
Yeah, so they're not calling rape per se.
Because they can't. They can't just say that anymore. They have to be careful.
Yeah.
That's why they want to go into the gray area and expand the definition of like making women uncomfortable under any circumstances is basically like, they're going to say it's just as bad. They're just going to say they can't call it rape. That's all.
So I'm reading from the article again. As Jezebel Stassa Edwards wrote in February regarding that story, and as a definition of the feminist philosopher Kate Mann's concept of the sex he takes, the sex he takes is not, according to the law, rape or sexual assault. It does not rise to the scrutiny of a judge and a jury. It does not meet the legal definitions of sexual assault or rape. Its boundaries, shapeless and shifting, treat consent as something to be extracted, transforming sex into a commodity to be taken, rather than freely exchanged. Rarely can that sex be labeled explicitly as coercion because it conceals itself beneath a legalistic definition of sexual assault, treating consent as binary, as simple yes or no. So what the hell are we supposed to do about this then?
One of the central arguments against the Aziz Ansari story, and so many since, including the accusations surrounding Keith Ellison, was that women are muddying the waters. Yeah, that we are unable to distinguish between violent rape and encounters in which the boundaries of consent are blurred. But it is precisely the opposite. Women do distinguish between these experiences and do not conflate them. We just would like the tent poles to be moved permanently towards the expectation of equitable sexual encounters. No, fuck off. There's just the law. Follow that. All right, well, look, this is exhausting, and Jezebel is exhausting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this to you guys. Tell me what you think about the story of Jeremy Hamley, also known as The Quartering, and what happened with him and GenCon. And then also give me your thoughts in particular on this John Smith IV story. Mike.com, scumbag outlet. Jezebel, scumbag outlet. They end up meeting somewhere in the middle of scumland.
The arrogance of man is thinking nature is in our control, and not the other way around. Let them fight.
And just give me your thoughts in the comment section below. I think I've had about as much of this shit as I can stand, so thank you for watching this video. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. My name is Brian, and I've been here with Lindsay, and this was Breaking Badger News. Thank you, and just stay safe out there. There's some crazy-ass bitches in the world.
Another one. Another one. Another one. Another one. Another one. And another one.